Waiting for our ghost. There we go. Thank you. So I'm now calling the Tuesday, May 19th, 2026, regular meeting of the Los Altos Hills County Fire District Board of Commissioners to order. Time is 7:03 p.m. Please note we're conducting a hybrid meeting this evening, which allows staff and members of the public to attend this meeting via virtual teleconference. This hybrid meeting will be video recorded and posted on our website. And because we're video conferencing, we will follow a strict protocol for the benefit of this recording. I will indicate when commissioners, staff, presenters, and the public will provide comments. And if you have called into the meeting and are not using a webcam, please state your name prior to providing your comment. And if you're making public comments and have questions of the presenter or the commission, please address your questions to me, the board president. I will either respond or seek a response or hold the question for a future response. Please practice considerate video conferencing etiquette by muting your line when you're not speaking and limiting distracted behavior. Now, a little difference here. Vice President McDonald is requesting to participate remotely due to just cause, and we will first conduct a roll call of commissioners present in person, and then we will address Vice President McDonald's request to participate remotely. District Clerk Vargas, please conduct the roll call.
Okay. President Spreen.
Here.
Commissioner Basigi.
Here.
Commissioner Kadambi.
Yes, here.
Okay. Commissioner Tonka.
Here.
Commissioner Tyson. Commissioner Warren.
Here.
Okay, and we have 5 commissioners present in person, which is a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, I'd like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that Vice President McDonald is participating remotely via Zoom audio and visual technology pursuant to California Government Code sections 54953, 5493.8, and 5493.8.3. He has just cause for participating from a remote location as he is traveling on official business of the commission and attending the Station Design Conference in Reno, Nevada, to learn about development options for future fire facilities on district-owned parcels. Vice President McDonald, before we proceed, please confirm that there is no one in the room with you at the location that you're participating from, and that you have not participated remotely at any other commission meeting this year.
That is correct. There was no one in the room, and I have not participated remotely this year.
Thank you very much. District Clerk Vargas, please update the roll call to reflect Vice President McDonald's remote participation and continue with the presenters, consultants, and staff roll call.
Okay. Santa Clara County Fire Department Fire Chief Gertgow.
Present.
Thank you. Do we have TRC Principal Engineer Hansel Durbin? Don't see him yet. Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council CEO Shallot. I see him, but perhaps he otherwise.
I should unmute myself. I'm here. Good evening.
Thank you. Okay. We've got Community Education Risk Reduction Manager Gluhan.
Present.
Okay. Programs Planning Grants Manager Woods.
Present.
Okay. Technical Analyst / Project Manager Cronin.
Here.
Okay. General Analyst Georgie.
Present.
Okay. Technical Data Analyst Martinez.
Present.
Okay. Project Manager Administration Revelar.
Here.
Okay. Project Manager Risk Reduction King Rob.
Present.
Okay. Community Risk Reduction Specialist Stoksick.
Present.
Thank you. Finance Program Specialist Corpus. It's not on. IHFR Specialist Nazarova.
Present.
IHFR Specialist Orr. See him. I didn't hear, but I saw him. Program Specialist 2 Pope.
Here.
Thank you. Operations Administrative Manager Fairman.
Present.
Finance and IT Manager Moriali.
Present.
General Manager Logan.
Present.
Deputy County Counsel Ellison.
Present.
And I apologize. I did miss Municipal Resource Group Strategic Planning Consultant Scott.
Present. Good evening.
Right. Thank you. Okay. Presenters, consultants, and staff are accounted for.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 2, Commission President Remarks. I'll make everyone happy by saying I have none. Let's just move on and move into the show. Moving on to item 3. Oh, maybe someone wants me to make remarks. I guess not. Okay. Moving on to item 3, public comment. Persons wishing to address the commission on any subject not on the agenda may do so now. Please note, however, the commission is not able to undertake extended discussion or action tonight on items not on the agenda. Items may be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on the next available agenda. District policy is to limit public testimony to 3 minutes per speaker unless the number of speakers requires me to impose shorter time limits. Do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? Seeing none in the room, any online?
And I see none online.
Okay, in that case, we will move on to item 4, agenda amendments and changes. Any comments from staff on this? Any changes needed to do this? Seeing none. Let's see, any staff changes? Seeing none. In that case, let's just move on to item 5, the consent calendar. Any comments from staff on consent calendar items? Once again, I appreciate all the memos that are in there. They're always very well, meticulous and detailed, and we really appreciate that. And seeing no comments here, in that case, I would entertain a motion with the commissioner making the motion and the commission seconding the motion. Please state their names for the recording.
Commissioner Warren moves to adopt the consent calendar as written.
Shatanka seconds.
Thank you. It's open for discussion. Any public comments on items on the consent calendar? Seeing none, in that case, we will now vote.
Okay. President Spring.
Yes.
Vice President McDonald.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Basigi.
Yes.
Commissioner Kadambi.
Yes.
Commissioner Tonka.
Yes.
And Commissioner Warren. Okay, and the motion passes 6-0 with 1 absent.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 6, the Fire Chief report for April 2026. Fire Chief Kirkhow, if you could please provide us this report.
Good evening. Excuse me, President Spring, Vice President McDonald, remotely, commissioners, staff, and public. Before you is the April monthly report that contains public safety data or public report safety data. Highlights include recent promotion ceremonies that we had, as well as some wildfire preparedness workshops that are being offered throughout the response service area. Another highlight was just the Dispatcher Appreciation Month for it's actually the week, excuse me, for our first responders. As I move through the report, I'll go right to the data on page 3 of 6. There were a total of 84 calls in the fire district for the month of April. There was a fire, but it was deemed not significant. And the call volume and the distribution of calls is pretty typical for the monthly look. And then we are just above 2025 by, it looks like 400-ish calls, a little over 400 calls. So we do have an upward trend as we go into fire season. Speaking of fire season, I'll go ahead and pause there and see if there's any questions about the data. I do have additional information that I'd like to report out to the commissioners as well.
Any commissioner questions? Seeing none, you can proceed.
Okay. Water tender 76 is expected to arrive. I spoke to General Manager Logan that there was a delay that was not expected on our end with the builder. So we're just waiting to get some items in alignment, but are excited to receive that soon in the district or for the district. And then today I spoke to Palo Alto Fire Chief Lindsay, as well as County Fire's Ops Chief, and Station 8 staffing will be ready to go. If we have a red flag warning or some event prior to June 15th, then we will advise General Manager Logan of the request to up staff. But Palo Alto will start staffing Station 8 on June 15th, and then County Fire will take over on July 1st with the rotation as per normal. End of report.
I have a question too.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Chief, I was wondering if you have an early read on this current upcoming fire season and what you're predicting.
So today at headquarters, at County Fire headquarters, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have what's called stand refresher training, in which CAL FIRE comes and gives us the report out or the outlook for just the local area rather than the state area. So you get much more, if you were specific weather report, vegetation report, et cetera. I was not in that meeting today. I was doing interviews for County Fire. I will be in that meeting tomorrow. That's a 3-hour meeting. Again, I will be able to report out more either through General Manager Logan directly via email or at next month's report. I apologize that I could not be there today as there was a conflict in my schedule.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Mark.
Yeah, Chief, I think I missed it. Did you give an ETA on when we think the water tender is actually going to be received?
It was supposed to be received in July, and the builder had a delay in the final inspection, which threw off our schedule because we had a team ready to go out and do the final inspection. So we're coordinating schedules right now. So we're hopeful that we'll get it in August. So we're thinking 2 to 3 week delay.
Good. Any other questions, Commission? Okay. Anything else on the report?
That's it. End of report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Any public comments?
I see none.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much, Chief. We appreciate it. And we're excited about the tender getting here. Yeah. All right. Moving on to item 7, the I-280 shaded fuel break project. And before we get to this report, I need to comment on this, that the I-280 RFP and solicitation process is currently open for submission of proposals. And the proposal deadline is June 2nd, 2026. After the proposal deadline, the evaluation, selection, and negotiation process will begin. When that's concluded, a notice of intent to award may be issued. In order to ensure a fair and competitive process, staff cannot comment on or respond to questions pertaining to the solicitation process here at this meeting at this time, beyond providing a high-level overview of the project and solicitation deadlines. Further information will be provided to the Commission and public after the conclusion of the solicitation process and a notice of intent to award is issued. So just setting everyone's expectations about tonight's report. With that, I will turn it over to Operations and Administrative Manager Fairman to introduce this report.
Hello, good evening, President Spring, Vice President Toby McDonald, Commissioners, Fire District staff, and members of the public. The members of the I-280 Shaded Fuel Break project that will be presenting tonight, the update will be given by Justin Hansel Durbin, Principal Engineer at TRC Solutions, Programs Planning and Grants Manager Woods, IHFR Specialist Ori, and me. So now I'll pass it on to Justin to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aida. Thank you very much, council members. Commissioner, I'm just going to jump right in. The Community Shaded Fuel Break project is presented here on this slide. We have the work areas identified in purple within the district boundaries here. You can see the interchanges highlighted with the circles. We have Page Mill Road, El Monte Ave, and Magdalena Avenue identified. Those projects are going to be done under separate work packages. So they're not included in this RFP that's currently out to bid. So this is kind of the overall limits of the project. If you hadn't seen it before, it's approximately a 6-mile segment of I-280. Work will be happening on the northbound, southbound, and median, and we broke the project up into 3 different phases. So we can move to the next slide. Here we have another kind of presentation of one of our typical design drawings that we have included in the package. We have our index of plans on the left-hand side, which shows kind of the title sheets, layouts. We have water pollution control plans. We have informational plans and details. So on a typical drawing here, we have the limit of work for the vegetation removal. That has the kind of squared crosshatch there. There's also the darker shading that lines with waterways or sensitive areas that our biologists identified that we need to consider during the process. We also identify, I think we have Prisma Creek on there on this one. And then we also identified other different special features, other maps along the way, detail out our staging area and then the different cross streets and overpasses and underpasses for the project. So this is just a nice example of one of our design drawings that we wanted to show. We can move to the next sheet. All right, this is the exciting part. So this is our update for the project. So we're moving along very quickly here. So we moved through our 30% design to 90% to 100%. And then we moved into final design construction documents and then put it out to bid. The items that we are currently working on and kind of really focused on are circled in green. We have our Caltrans review meeting that will be coming up after they review our encroachment permit, which has been submitted. So that is an important step. It was originally scheduled earlier in the project, due to some different coordination with Caltrans's preference became to do this meeting after the drawings were finalized and the encroachment permit was submitted. So that's why it got pushed back. And again, number 10 there, bid and encroachment permit documents. Those were prepared and finalized and actually submitted already. Encroachment permit submittal, that one was completed as well. And then number 15, that's the RFP response period, which we're in right now. So we're very excited for that period. We had a good showing on our pre-bid meeting, and we are excited to receive those bids. Following that, we'll be doing our proposal review, making our selection. Then the next steps will be, once the contract is executed, the contractor will be preparing submittals and contractor mobilization. I'm going to pass it back to Aida.
Thank you, Justin. Next slide, please. As President Spring mentioned, we're going through the RFP process and evaluation, so we will not be going into details about the RFP. So we met issuing the RFP on April 29th. We held the mandatory pre-proposal conference last Wednesday at 2 o'clock, May 13th. The deadline to submit written questions from the proposers was yesterday, May 18th at 4 p.m. Response to written questions for the request for proposals and the addendum posted will be on Wednesday, May 27th. Deadline to submit required forms not applicable. And very important date for the submission of proposals is Tuesday, June 2nd at 3 p.m. All the other events from items 7 through 12, submission of proposal evaluation, selection of shortlist, conducting oral presentations and demonstrations, selection of finalists, negotiations, issuance of the notice of intent to award will be done in June. Our goal is to award this project at the commission meeting on July 21, 2026. This is an anticipated date, which is subject to change. The contract approval and execution will be done in July 2026, and the goal is to commence the contract in August 2026. This is an anticipated date subject to change. And everything is being done through the Bidingo portal, which is the electronic sourcing system from the county. The RFP was posted through Bidingo. The responses will be posted through Bidingo. Everything is through that portal. Thank you. Next slide, please. Here's a sample of a couple of screenshots from Bidingo. So I want to mention that Rose Moriale, Edgar Martinez, and I received the Bidingo training and worked closely with County Council through the RFP process, including the issuance and posting of all the documents, which it was a long process, and we met all the deadlines for the posting. So now I would like to pass it to Eugenia and Ed Ori. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Aida. Are we on the next slide? Okay, great. As we continue through the field operations portion of the I-280 update this evening, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the newest team member of the district's I-280 team. Ed Ori comes to us as a retired CAL FIRE Division Chief in the Natural Resources area. From 2000 to 2014, Ed was with CAL FIRE as the Assistant Forest Manager for a state forest in Santa Cruz County. Previous to that, he worked in private industry in forestry roles. In 2014, Ed became the unit forester in the Santa Clara County unit, which is where our district is, transitioning from classic forest management to focus on wildfire prevention. This ranged from high-level planning activities such as the CWPP plans to specific on-the-ground hazard mitigation projects such as fuel break construction. All planning and implementation projects required careful, detailed coordination with many state, local, tribal, and regional partners to achieve successful outcomes. The State Route 17 fuel break in 2019 and 2020 is a notable example of where CAL FIRE, Caltrans, and the Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council were in unified command to manage a precedent-setting hazardous fuel reduction project in a challenging setting. The unit forester's involvement in wildfire prevention planning and implementation of projects is to ensure compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as well as all federal, state, and local environmental protection requirements. Responsibilities also include working with landowners, agencies with jurisdiction, public right-of-way, and easements in project areas to coordinate successful outcomes. Though Ed has had many other responsibilities, such as hazard emergency response participation, duty chief responsibilities for emergency and administrative functions, extensive wildfire suppression, repair, and supervision of staff, it is his environmental compliance, agency liaison roles, extensive networks, and communication roles that the district recognizes is a beneficial and welcome addition to the expert skills on our I-280 project team. Welcome, Ed. We are happy to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here.
So Ed and I have been working in May. He started on the first of the month, and one of our primary successes in May has been the Tamiya Nation Tribal Cultural Resource Consultation on the 7th. We met with their director of natural resources, exchanged information and things like mapping layers so that she could have a better understanding of the project area, and they have taken the information and are going to give us more specifics of the things that they need information on. And you may have recall that the water boards and air boards communications were in process and confirmation last month. And we have now received information from both of those entities that our scope of work is satisfactory for compliance to their regulations. The things we have in progress this month and coming up before the next commission meeting is the biologist report from the March field surveys will be produced in tandem with the June 1st surveys. So those surveys will be happening again by DUDEC, the same as we talked about in March for rare plant species and botanicals. Regional partner discussions continue. We'll have a meeting next week with MidPin to move that along. And as Justin mentioned, I was able to finish the submittal for the Caltrans encroachment permit yesterday, and we have conditional acceptance. So now the in-depth review begins, and their target is to have our permit approved within 30 days. And that brings us to the PIO team development. We're reaching out to regional partners to see who the best staff members are to be on that team from the area surrounding us, and also working with Caltrans for their PIO requirements. They have a 4-week, 2-week, and 1-week pattern requirements that has to happen under their projects. Next slide, please.
Oh, Eugenia, but before you do that slide, if I just ask real quickly, can you give me a sense of what is the overlap of this project area with the Tamiya Nation tribe? I mean, I'm interested in what concerns they might have. How much are there specific areas or specific places, or just anything in the entire belt in which we are located?
They roughly gave us 4 areas that they wanted more detailed mapping files on. They've also told us that it's a mid-range concern, so they're not requesting a tribal monitor, but they are going to participate in our weekly and daily safety briefings for cultural sensitivity training in case anything does turn up during the work. And one of the things that we parted ways with at our meeting was they were going to narrow down the specific 4 areas of concern, and also the things that they were concerned about, whether it was, artifacts or those types of items. So we have another meeting to, get closer on that. But at this point, we're not anticipating a scope of work change, but it's still a possibility, a smaller possibility.
Great. Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it.
And as Justin mentioned, and you've heard in past meetings, we pulled the Magdalena interchange out and we'll be treating it in our regular evacuation route program. The dates have been chosen for that. We're going to run it concurrently with the Magdalena evacuation route maintenance. One will start on the 12th and one will start on the 13th. So this is very exciting. The IHFR team is very excited to be able to run its first set of simultaneous projects. And and the Fire Safe Council has also, agreed that they are staffed up and ready to do that. So thrilled to be able to announce first time on this one. The reasons on the left are things that you've heard before about why we're doing the interchanges as part of the evacuation route program instead of the I-280 scope. Has to do with being able to keep the maintenance synchronized and have those key interchanges be connected to our existing network of evacuation routes. The reasons we're going to run them simultaneously is it'll have a smaller impact for residents with road closures not being drawn out over 2 project cycles. They'll run at the same time. And we're continuing to work with the Santa Clara County Fire Department Fuels Crew Partnership. They would like to be involved in the I-280 efforts and the interchange project and do the treatment on that. And we'll use our traditional model for the longer Magdalena evacuation route. And it brings us economy of scale for both the subcontractors such as traffic control and biomonitoring firms, as well as Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council. And I believe the next slide brings us to discussion.
Great, thank you. Any comments or thoughts in the commission?
I just want to make a comment as a member of the subcommittee. Toby, keep me honest. We had a subcommittee meeting last week. We went over the plan. We met Ed last week. Really pleased with the progress that's being made. It's exciting that things are out for bid and we're answering questions. And there is a pretty firm timeline to when it looks like after all the planning, we're actually going to move to an operational phase on this. So pretty excited.
Great.
Toby, anything to add?
No, just we're very, very happy and excited that it's moving forwards. Thank you for all the work.
Excellent.
Good work on the project, and the timeline of the events look very tight and great. What happens when everything is approved and the thing starts? How long is the timeline for this?
It's broken into 3 phases, and each phase is somewhere between 20 and 60 days. Of course, we've got holidays and weather and other types of impacts. It will also depend on what Caltrans approves during the encroachment permit. They have control over the work hours on the interstate. And then the town permit has control over the work hours on the frontage roads and the other areas that are under their jurisdiction. So we have a lot of moving parts, but we're estimating between 20 and 60 days for each phase.
How many phases are there totally? 2? Or
3.
3, yeah.
Northbound,
and then you have 2
southbound,
different
and the median.
Oh, thanks. And 2 different contractors, right, will be working on this?
Do you know just one? Or
Well, I mean, it's TRC. Eugenia, keep me on in my lane here. It's TRC is our managing contractor, and then they've got the bids out. We've got the bids out to actually the firms to do the physical work on the ground.
Right. So TRC is our project manager and providing biological support, and then the vegetation contractor is the RFP you've been hearing about.
Right. So at least 2.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jim, do you have a question?
Well, I have possibly a superficial question. How many responses to the RFP did we get?
The proposals are due June 2nd, so we haven't received the responses. There was the mandatory pre-proposal conference that was well attended, but we haven't received proposals. That will be June 2nd. Thank you.
So we won't know until June 2nd.
We won't know.
Okay, all right.
It's probably sensitive information about how many responses we've had.
Oh, is that right? Why is that sensitive? Just out of curiosity. Why is that sensitive?
No.
After it's closed, it's not sensitive, but right now it's sensitive because we're in the process.
In the middle of the process, bids are being worked on.
Oh, okay, all right. But even the name of the subs are not are not supposed to
Right, because I guess
be revealed.
it would still be
Okay.
open if someone heard, hey, they've got 1 million people
Oh, okay.
submitting, or no one submitted yet, or that can alter what people might want to decide to jump in or not.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other comments here? Any public comments? I see we have public comment. Is the mic on? Let's see. Hold on while we get the mic in the room. I think this is the deepest into a meeting we've ever gone without checking that mic is working or not. I have a, use that one? Here's a hand mic.
Needs a battery. Couple questions. How many people attended the mandatory meeting?
Is that a question we can answer or not? I'm not sure.
No, it is not. We cannot get that specific at this time. Sorry.
Okay. Has anyone requested an engineer's estimate?
Answer.
Again, I think that is a little too specific at this time.
Okay. When will you be publishing the answers to the questions that are being asked by applicants?
That will be published May 27th by end of close of business.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. You can just hand that to Russ with the mic there. Yeah. Any other public comments or any questions on the line or?
I do not see any.
Great. Okay. I think that's it. Is that the end of the report?
End of
Great.
report, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. In that case, moving on to item 8, partnership for 2 programs for the town of Los Altos Hills. General Manager Logan will be providing this report.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, President Spreen, Commissioners, staff, and public. The update tonight is to seek direction from the Board of Commissioners for district staff to determine a budget and allocate district funds for emergency management shared services personnel and to assist the district and town of Los Altos Hills. Both agencies mutually provide life and property safety programs for residents and the community. The update also seeks direction to add a tree hazard assessment and rebate component to the district HIZ program. These 2 partnership programs, emergency management and tree hazard assessments, are being developed to address requests from district residents, strategic priorities identified by the Los Altos Hills Council work plan, and deliver benefits to the fire district by forming an emergency management framework between the district and Los Altos Hills programs, and enhancing the district's HIZ resident assessment and rebate program by adding a tree hazard component. As a background summary, on April 16th, the general manager presented these 2 partnership programs to the Los Altos Hills Council with a favorite response to move forward. On April 21st, the general manager presented the 2 partnership programs to the Board of Commissioners that concluded with a favorable discussion of the benefits of the partnership program for the 2 agencies, residents, and community. During the agendized budget presentation at the same meeting on April 21st, the Board of Commissioners approved a recommendation to increase funding for the HIZ program by $109,000 for a tree hazard and assessment rebate program. The Board of Commissioners' action is now in review by County Office of Business Analysis, and if successful, will be advanced to the Board of Supervisors, sitting as the Board of Directors for the Fire District with authority to approve and enhance the HIZ program and HIZ budget. The memorandum before you at the meeting tonight is an update of the progress made and is seeking direction from the Board of Commissioners to move forward and report back with recommendations for Board of Commissioner action and implement the programs. If the Board of Commissioners approves, the item will move forward to the Board of Supervisors for budget authority. So I will request the opportunity to present this report to the Los Altos Hills Council and their next meeting and provide a similar update. The effort is to keep the 2 partnership agencies updated, provide discussion, transparency, and properly set expectations of the benefits and expected results of the 2 programs. I'll now report on the progress made on emergency management shared services. On April 28th, the district general manager, city manager, of Los Altos Hills and personnel from County Office of Emergency Management and Santa Clara County Fire Department convened to discuss an overview of the shared services role. Discussion included the background of staffing and emergency management function, current needs, compliance requirements, duties, time requirements, timelines for service, framework for an emergency management function, and budget. The meeting included discussion with the service area manager who will be providing these services to the district and to the town. The next step in this process are to formulate the role and duties, time schedule for services, and determine the district budget allocation to fund the shared services resource. The general manager and city manager are convening to formalize these components for the position. Town of Los Altos Hills emergency plans will be reviewed and staff training will be included in the duties of the position. Hours for the shared position are being determined. City Manager Einfalt is in discussion with the shared services personnel to determine the details of the program and then collaborate with the district general manager. So that is an overview of what's occurred between the last council commission meeting and this meeting with the shared services program. Same timeline for an update now on the tree hazard assessment and rebate program. Funding for this program was established at the last commission meeting. So that's been taken care of. Subsequent to the April commission meeting, the general manager and HIZ staff convened to discuss the best practices for adding a tree hazard assessment and rebate program and to expand the HIZ program. The premise of identifying trees in the HIZ assessment is that trees can present hazards depending upon various factors and circumstances. Healthy trees, regardless of species, have a place in the landscape and in the ecosystem. The tree hazard assessment is not intended to advocate tree removal. Rather, it adds tree assessments to the mosaic of services for the HIZ, so HIZ can better address the unique situations encountered during an assessment with residents and educate residents as to the options available. An additional premise of the tree hazard assessment program is to address concerns by residents about trees that can create hazards within the zone 0 and the wild and within the 100-foot defensible space of structures, which may cause wildfire risks to neighboring properties during a wildfire event. The program will also recognize tree hazards along fence lines, abutting neighbors' homes, and along driveways and private roadways for egress and ingress. The HIZ advisory is now under revision to include the definition and qualifications for the tree hazard assessment and rebate program. The advisory, once the revisions are concluded, will be presented to the commission at a future meeting. The HIZ program is intended to engage residents and provide education in how to reduce wildfire risk on their property. The program also intends to motivate residents to take action, and that will benefit from a partnership with the district. Through the partnership, the residents will receive HIZ assessments and education and the ability to qualify for a rebate return on the costs once the recommendations are completed. The benefits to the district are educating residents to take action, lowering risk of wildfire, and protecting life and property safety. The metrics are growing to demonstrate that the partnership of the dollars spent by residents and the rebate offered by the district encourages property wildfire risk reduction and affects the safety and resilience of neighborhoods and the community. This model of a tree hazard assessment is a component of the HIZ program, keenly distinguishes it from as a community benefit featured by the hazard tree removal. The fiscal impact for this program will be determined once the budget is recommended and approved by the Board of Supervisors. And then the strategic impact is to add to the district goals of prevention, protection, and resiliency, and also to be a goal of sustainability. And the objective is to expand the HIZ collaboration process. So attached to the memo report is the initial reports to the council on April 16th and to the Board of Commissioners on the 21st. And these series of reports are for the two partnership programs and are included to provide transparency and the future partnership programs. In summary, the two programs are ready to proceed and direction from the commission to support these efforts are requested. So thank you, and a report. Happy to respond to questions at this time and provide future reports.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners? Jim?
I have a question. Chair Manager, I heard everything you said, and I've also read it before I came to the meeting. What I'm struggling with, how much over and above what we already do does this program allow us to do? Because right now we have a wonderful HIZ program throughout the district that's led by us, and it does a lot for the community. That in the form of a opt-in as opposed to an opt-out. It's wonderful, and I'm beneficiary of that. But what I'm wondering about, how much more are we expecting this additional component to contribute?
Well, again, it's part of the mosaic, and I can have Captain Lewin speak to that. But when the HI and also Battalion Chief Stocksett can speak to this also. When you're out doing the HIZs, right now you're not really taking into consideration the trees as far as a rebatable expense. And I think by adding the tree as a hazard function to that HIZ would be very helpful. Would you want to respond to that?
I'll start off real quick, and then if there's additional questions. Basically, we've been looking at trees, and we've had to really specialize our invoicing because we were restricted from tree removal specifically from the management audit language. That's now allowing us to do that was kind of taking away that trees aren't a problem, a fire problem, and some trees are. So now we're allowed to take the best practices, all of the best practices, all of the fire science, and apply it equally in that defensible space along fence lines, along egress and access roadways, instead of having to say, yes, the tree may need to be removed, but it can't be in the rebate program currently, only trimming the tree. So this allows a kind of a whole 360 value to the fire science that we're applying on the property.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So today there may be some trees within 100 feet of the dwelling that you cannot basically tag as something that has to be removed. Could be removed, not has to be removed, because we don't do any enforcement. But with the benefit of this program would be that you will able to do that. Is that true?
That's correct. You're expanding the current program that does not allow specifically for tree removal. As you read the advisory, it is in bold print. Tree removal is not allowed. We could only limb trees up and remove branches. Now the tree, if it's called out in the report as something that's hazardous, that can now be removed via the rebate dollars. Thank you.
I don't know why I didn't understand it before. Thank you. That's very clear. Thank you.
And if I may add, there's been a real strong sentiment on behalf of residents who are used to the prior tree removal program. And once it went away, we heard very strongly and very clearly about the threat imposed by the trees and the lack of understanding as to why we as a fire district did not perceive that as a threat. And by acknowledging that, yes, certain trees do pose a threat to our welfare and safety, I think we have really crossed a real bridge here. And I think it will be perceived as a huge win if this goes through. And the fact remains that, yes, some trees can be very hazardous. They do, they do pose a very strong threat. So I very much appreciate your work on this, Jay. And I know this has been an issue that has come up several times since the audit, and the fact that you could win the confidence of the fire district and the county to come to this agreement is a huge win. So thank you for all that you do.
Well, we're still in that journey. So I will say that if you listen to the words I said and you read the memorandum, it very clearly distinguishes between the prior program, which was discretionary. It could be any tree anywhere. And now we're saying these trees need to be based upon fire science.
And that makes total sense.
And so with that, I think there's a logic that we can very nicely assert at the Board of Supervisors level to be able to understand that this is a new dimension now. We're learning from fire science. We're learning from this mosaic of prevention. And when we have the staff out doing HIZs and they're precluded from understanding and saying to the resident, we can help you with this, that's not in anyone's best interest. So that's what we're trying to do here. And thank you for recognizing that, because it is a bridge that we've traveled and trying to cross. Thank you.
Indu? Yeah.
Yes, I would also like to recognize Jay for this and the team. Basically, when there's no problem, people have time to complain. So the proactiveness, the quality of this is something that we should be proud of. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My sense is that the reason this is being presented tonight with request for direction is that, as you see, a lot of this is evolving in a collaborative process with Jay and the Los Altos Hills City Manager and County Fire. So I appreciate this report coming back. I think you're saying this is our chance to say, hey, wait a second, we do or don't like what's going on there. And what you're hearing here, I think, is a consensus that we like the way it's going. I haven't heard anything that tells us stop, let's proceed. And I think the direction is positive.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that the kind of direction you're looking for?
That was the kind of direction I'm looking for, because part of the collaboration is keeping everyone informed.
Yeah.
So informing the commission, informing the town council, informing EPRC, which is a very important component of this, informing our public and residents. And that's why it's memo after memo after memo, because it provides that. And I think we can all understand how transparency is so important, because these are public dollars. They're public taxpayers' dollars. You want to see them go to the highest and best use. And all of you will be out there now that fire season is starting, and you will have residents come to you and say, what are you doing and how are you doing it? And you want to be able to look at them and say, at the best and highest use of the taxpayers' dollar. And we've got the staff and the commitment to do that, not just from the district, but the town and Fire Safe Council, all of our various partners that work with us in this endeavor. It truly is a mosaic, not only of human resources, but also a mosaic of firefighting science. So thank you.
And often residents do not understand that you are firmly adhering to fire science. So that's something that we have to, keep reminding people, especially even gatherings and things like that. They say, oh, that too much trees are being cut. They're not really understanding that you are adhering really close to the fire science. So that's very impressive. So
yeah, and we have to find that balance between those who want to protect the trees and understand that by limbing and removing certain trees, there is some real value and virtue to that also. And let me just ask, our HIZ staff that's here, if you want to make any comments, because you're out there every day with our residents and you hear and see what their needs are.
I'm going to let, if it's okay, have Toby has his hand up, have him ask his question first, and then I'll let Debbie respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make the comment that in a wildland fire, the fire creates ember casts, and the wind carries the burning embers, and the sick, dying, and dead trees are like magnets for those embers, because those trees, the sick and the dying and dead trees, are so dry that then they turn into a fire and a torch and further cast the embers. And that's why you see these fires spread so rapidly, because of those trees not being removed. So that's all. Thank you.
Exactly. I mean, that's a huge thing. And a lot of our residents, they have layers and layers of trees. And the farther out you get from the house, you want the trees like 10 feet away from each other. So if one does catch on fire and spread some embers, it doesn't catch all of them on fire. So just last week, I went to one and part of the tree, half the tree broke off and had been there. And so it was dead. And so if that lights, if there's a wildland fire, then that is going to spread right up the rest of the tree, which is laddering. And then it's going to spread from tree to tree to tree, which is crowning. So we want to try to, this is perfect for them to use that to get rid of that dead tree, so that to stop that escalation of the fire if it happens. So thanks, Toby. That was great.
And that really is another distinguishing factor of this program, this tree hazard assessment program versus the discretionary program that we had before. And that is, we have a partnership. It's the resident who is involving their time and energy in learning about what is occurring through the educational component. And then they also pay the dollars, because our rebate is 50 cents on the dollar. So we are engaging the resident then into their own solutions, not just providing them the tree cutting, a one-way solution. And I think that's very important. So thank you. Amazing staff. They've all been in wildland fires. They know what they are trying to prevent here in Los Altos Hills.
I think also, I'd say a key thing that's going to separate this from the past with the discretionary program we had, which had all kinds of different issues, is that anyone who's coming forth for this is going through the HIZ program by definition, which means they're getting education person to person. They're getting real discussion over it. It's not just someone deciding on their own, hey, I want this tree gone. Why aren't you taking it away? It's like, let's have a discussion about what the safety of your entire house is. So I think putting it in the context of the entire house really makes a difference for how rational the whole program is going to be, and developing standards that they'll be able to see from house to house what makes the level of tree that really deserves a rebate to be removed and so forth. So I think I appreciate I'll call it the over communication at each step of this, because we want everyone to, again, to be in sync with this as it moves forward and as it evolves. So I certainly see a positive consensus here that says continue on, and I feel like you have our positive direction.
Thank you. Have my work cut out for me.
One quick comment too. If you look at the slides in the CERR, the HAZ slides, you'll see compared to the basic rebate amount of $3,000, what residents have spent. It's way larger than what that basic $6,000 to achieve the $3,000 rebate. They've, overspent by thousands of dollars on each of those requests. So it's an interesting statistic. If you haven't seen it already, take a look. Thanks.
Let's take any public comments on this item. I see we have one.
Alan Epstein, I live in the district. I'd like to correct a statement about the prior program. It's been called discretionary. The prior program was a program to remove dead and dangerous trees. The dead and dangerous trees were assessed by a licensed arborist, McClanahan. And then based upon that assessment, then the work was authorized by the fire district to be removed. So the only thing discretionary about it was the homeowner asked to have his dead and dangerous trees assessed, and then if they met the requirement, they were removed. The problem the county had with the program was a financial one. They didn't feel it was appropriate to spend public money to remove trees on private property. So it had nothing to do with risk. It had nothing to do with the nature of the trees. It had to do with a decision about finances. I've looked at the information that's been provided, and I appreciate the programs look very promising. I'm just a little confused about the budgetary aspect and the ask to the county. So from what I'm taking away, the town is asking for assistance, but the fire district is not going to provide this assistance. The fire district has referred it to the Central Fire Department. And because it's been referred to the Central Fire Department is going to say how much money is necessary. And then I guess Los Altos Hills County Fire District is going to pay for it. So maybe somebody could explain to me the nature of the relationship and how much money it is expected to cost. Thank you very much.
I think the budgeting amount's already in the budget. And is that something we can discuss? Is that something we should discuss during the budget meeting in the budget period? Or do you want to answer that now? Or
No, I'll let Russ answer that, and then I'll come back and make the comment about the discretionary comment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the question may have been referring to the EMS program rather than the trees. Am I correct in that? Yes, the EMS programs will be a contract base service through Central Fire. The public is correct. We haven't determined that dollar amount yet at this point in time. What we have determined is a placeholder dollar amount for the tree program.
Great.
So that's where we are right now in terms of the budgetary aspect.
I think it's also fair to say we're also part of the discussion I'm seeing is how much support is needed from Central Fire to address those issues that the town wants from an EMS point of view. So that's another reason why we can't put a dollar figure right next to it yet.
Yeah. Okay. And then on the discretionary tree program, having read the management audit and having responded to the management audit myself, I made the arguments that it was not discretionary, on and on. You can read, the pages written. The Board of Supervisors came back and said, it is discretionary. It is unilateral. It is not going to continue. And that's the end of the story. So this is a way of trying to distinguish a program, not to repeat a program, but to distinguish a program that is not discretionary, that is based upon fire science and is based upon this mosaic approach. So it's a different way of looking at hazards that are created by trees rather than trees being hazards. So anyway, but just wanted to clarify that the management audit very definitely declared the program as being a discretionary program. And as a result of that, it was no longer to be performed in the district. So
Great,
thank you.
thank you. Moving on, on to item 9, which is the fiscal year 27 final draft budget update. And Finance and IT Manager Moriali was providing us this report.
Okay, President Spreen, Vice President McDonald, and members of the commission, it's good to speak to you about the budget again. I'm just waiting for the first slide to come out. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide you with an update as to what's happened since the last meeting. Also, we've gone through our first county budget workshop, so I'll give you an update on that as well. The second item is to give the commission an update on the budget rollovers. As I mentioned in the past, the rollovers between year to year, it's kind of a complicated concept, but they're material. They're very significant and has everything to do with I-280 and has everything to do with fire apparatus, which have been a point of discussion this evening as well. Lastly, we'd like you to approve something new that we would like to attach to the narrative. And that is a position control and salary rate schedule. There's no fiscal impact on that, but it is something that OBA, the Office of Budget and Analysis, has asked that we codify as part of our budget narrative process. So it's an add-on, it's a supplement to that narrative that ultimately will be adopted pending county approval in June of this year. Mm-hmm. So with that, that's the intent of this session. Next slide, please. Okay, so here, this is where we are. Everything in the blue cast steps has been completed. Of course, we've submitted to OBA after our February 17th meeting where the commission approved the draft budget, the budget of the commission. On May 1st, I'm happy to report that the county issued its recommended executive budget on May 1st. It came out on time. It's quite a remarkable document, quite impressive. And that has been released. And at the same time, we have attended the May hearings that were happened just last week. General Manager Logan and I attended those hearings as well. And so where we are going beyond this point, is the June adoption, which is scheduled for June 23rd at the county level. And also the possibility of including between the recommended and the June adopted budget, the $109,000 for the tree program enhancement that we just spoke of. OBA right now is working on that and possibly is going to inject that into the recommended budget. We don't know if it'll get in that step, but it has been submitted and it's under review and consideration as well. If you look at the discussion we just had on EMS services, at this point in time in our discussions with the county, that budget adjustment, should it be necessary, would most likely occur post-adoption in July or August of next year. So that's our progression. So we're almost done with the budget cycle. And so far, everything's on time and going well. Next slide, please. So where are we? We are on schedule with all our deliverables. We've provided the County Office of Budget Analysis with all the reports. We've agreed on the baseline and requests, and I'm happy to report as of 3 p.m. this afternoon, we've all agreed on the rollovers. That doesn't mean approval, of course, it means agreement. The $109,000 for the HIZ tree enhancement rebate program has been submitted. And this evening, you'll be getting this formal employee roster for approval that OBA has asked for. So that's where we are in terms of our deliverables. On the accounting side of things, I'm happy to report that we are within $500 of what was approved by this commission and what appears in the recommended budget. So the $500 is explainable. It's actually an adjustment on the county side relative to internal costs. And of course, we've submitted the $109,000 post recommended for submission for approval. We are on pace. Again, June adoption is scheduled for June 23rd, and we've submitted our rollovers as well. And I'll talk about the rollovers here in just a minute. I want to also indicate that there were no exceptions taken to the commission approved budget in the county executive recommended up to this point. Next slide, please. This is a county slide. I didn't create the slide, but I want you to see this from the county's view, how they outline their calendar at a macro level. And this is where they are in the process. And you can see June 15th, 16th, and 18th is when we will have the final budget adoption hearings. And we had our workshops May 11th, 12th, and 13th. As well. So that has been held. We're looking forward to June. And then the budget is actually published by the county in October. Once it's completed and the recommended is finalized, they actually don't publish the budget until October just to go through that entire process, but it is immediately authorized and enforced, and we have spending authority as of July 1st, should it be adopted. So this is a county timeline I wanted to share with you. Next slide, please. There's so in terms of the May recommended, it is that quadrant in the middle that shows the 22,173,786. Our difference between what the commission approved with the addition of the $109,000 is exactly that. So if you were to pick up the county recommended budget right now, you'd see that the difference is $109,500. That's the $500 difference that I indicated, plus the $109,000 that we submitted that this commission approved in April. And that's our only delta right now. And we'll see whether or not the county OBA submits the $109,000 into the recommended before it goes into June. We think they will, but there's no guarantees at this point. So in essence, this slide illustrates that we reconcile with the county. Next slide, please. So it's important to note that if you were to look at the county executive budget, the county indicates baseline. They always bring us back to last year's baseline, and it's a really good way of budgeting. In other words, the county is very sensitive to budget creep, and so every year they will take out new requests and bring you back to baseline. What you have here on the screen are the commission's new requests for this year. If you tallied all these requests, they approximate about $3.9 million. The good news is that these items did make it into the recommended budget. So none of them were cast aside, none of them were reduced. They're in there in totality. So when the Board of Supervisors votes on June 23rd on the adoption, they will be voting for the baseline plus the addition of these requests. And these are very familiar with you. Obviously, the I-280 dollars are here. This is phase 3. I-280, if you take the last 2 years, it well exceeds $3.1 million. But this year's request was $3.1 million on I-280. We have we also, as part of our normal budget, we increased HIZ anyway, and I'll speak to that in a bit later, but that program, thanks to the very good work of CERR, is just taking off. It is just really, really booming. Evacuation routes, we included the flashy fuel programs into that. And then, of course, you have those other ancillary items as well. So all these requests made it into the recommended budget, and they are in there subject to the county discussion. I will say, at the hearings that General Manager Logan and I went to last week, there were no exceptions taken. The county fire district budget was not pulled, and there was no exceptions noted at this point in time. So now we move to June at this point with nothing edited or nothing changed. Next slide. So I do want to acknowledge really the remarkable job that the county has done, and the County of Office of Budget in particular. But looking at the budget for the County of Santa Clara, it's really quite an impressive document. It's 672 pages. We appear on page 513. The county has 23,000 employees. It's a $14.7 billion budget. And it's from an administrative standpoint, from a financial standpoint, just from a budgetary standpoint, putting that document together with that magnitude is just really impressive. And the Office of Budget and Analysis has been working hand in hand with us for months now, close communication in making this all happen for us. So I just can't say enough in terms of thanking them. I also wanted to acknowledge the challenges that the county has gone through. This statement on the bottom comes from the recommended budget as written by the CEO. And if I could read it, it says the recommended budget advances a disciplined set of cost containment measures focused on necessary workforce adjustments, increased operational efficiencies, and certain structural realignments. Savings are achieved primarily through the elimination of vacant positions, reductions in services and supplies, and targeted contract and lease adjustments. And I want to commend this commission for allowing us to present to the county, which was basically a level budget. It really respected what the county was going through, and it really was in line with the challenges that they were going through as well. So I think that was all very well received, this particular area. Next slide, please. Here's, again, taking the county view, just so the audience may be interested, where does the county dollars go? Well, you can see a very significant health and hospital program, public safety, general government operations, children and senior services, housing, and we are part of that housing, land, and use environment sliver. That 5%. That's where our fire district money is within their budget document. And next slide. So rollovers. So rollovers are significant. We have tallied and agreed today with the County Office of Budget Analysis $9.3 million in rollovers. And what that does mean is that if these rollovers are ultimately approved by the county, our budget would be that $22.1 million plus the $9 million. So that works out to $31 million. And of course, these dollars are significant because if you look at what they are seeding the I-280 program project. They are seeding the design of a new fire facility, the programmatic environmental impact report, and also the possibility of AI fire detection systems as well. So this has been submitted, reconciled as of 3 p.m. today with the Office of Budget Analysis, and it will be forwarded to the county board also for approval in that June timeframe. So the rollovers have grown. As we look at them in the future, if I could forecast, we're so excited about the I-280 project and the RFP being out there and the possibility that starting in August of 2026, you will see those I-280 dollars being spent. And they'll be spent over the course of, I believe, 12 or 18 months, if I have that proper. And you will see the use of those significant dollars being used over the course of that time frame. We know the fire truck, the one $1.9 million. The last I heard from Central Fire, that should be coming in fall of 2026. In terms of the 2 fire engines, that's probably going to be 27, 28. But you can see some significant dollars here hitting this next year on an actual basis as those 2 things occur. And next slide, please. And next slide. So with that, the fiscal impact essentially is that we have a budget that includes $19.18 million in revenue, $22.17 in expenditures. That's a use of fund balances of approximately $3 million and an ending fund balance of 46.7. That's where we are right now. Of course, that excludes the budget rollovers, but once the rollovers hit, that will be included in this equation as well. And I think that's the last slide. Am I correct? Oh, no, there isn't. So I'll stop at that point with the budget before we get onto the position roster to see if there's any questions.
Any questions, comments? Oh, yes, Jim. Put your mic on. Yeah.
I was wondering whether tree hazard, $109,000 was included in that $190,000 item that you had on the roll sheet.
Yeah, well, the $109,000 is not on the rollover sheet. but it has been submitted to the county OBA to be included in our line item.
So it's not included yet.
It's not included yet.
Gotcha.
Having said
Gotcha.
that, though, I'll bring you through kind of the progression
Okay.
on the HIZ dollars. So this current year budget has $300,000 in there. And it's really interesting. You know, I started 4 years ago. And when I started 4 years ago, I noticed that the HIZ rebate program was less than $10,000 a year. Some years was $5,000 a year. And of course, you know, I had to battle with the CERR group. And I said, well, do you really need this money? They said, believe me, Russ, this program is going to take off. And lo and behold, they've proven me wrong, because this year, as of right now, they've spent $192,000 on that rebate program. And we expect it to probably exceed $200,000 this year. So the budget was 300, we'll be under budget. What we did do is seeing the momentum, we increased the 26-27 budget to 490. And then knowing that this tree program is coming, we basically increased it to $660,000. So that's kind of our expectation in terms of what could be used and spent. And the logic was there. It's, you know, what's the right amount? Where's that sweet spot? This program is still evolving, but that's where we landed in terms of dollar amounts.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So am I understanding this correct? After all this expenditure, will we still have a fund balance of 46.71 million?
46.71 includes the current year budget. If that is true at the end of the year. Going forward, as we start spending the rollovers and others, you'll see that being used. You'll see that in the future.
Could we at some point see that as well? Because it'd be good to understand how we intend to spend it. Is there a long-term plan? Like you always have a short-term plan for the year, but what is the long-term plan as well?
Absolutely. General Manager Logan and I have spoken about bringing to this commission within the next month or two a 10-year forecast.
Okay.
And the 10-year forecast is significant because you're correct. It seems like such a large dollar amount, and it is. It is. We're fiscally sound. That's very true. But as you look at a 10-year forecast and you look at the possibility of these projects being spent, and you look at the possibility of a potential new fire facility, and you look at the possibility of funding the manning for that fire facility, you'll see that $46.7 million, and it will be higher at the end of this year, I guarantee you, because we're having a good year. You'll see that it's good that we have those dollars because the plan is to use it and to have these things in place.
Yeah, it'd be great to see that because I feel like, the intent is not to be fiscally sound. We're not a city. We're not running a city. There's a very different focus when it comes to the fire district. The intent is to make sure that we remain safe. Yes. There's no use sitting on a fund balance of 46.7 million if we do not use it in a prudent way and plan for it. And we should do this right away.
Yes, exactly. And the 10-year forecast, I think, will hopefully answer a lot of those questions as well.
Also, it's good to keep in mind that we've had, a lot of ups, basically. So we also have a long-term plan will also give us an idea, a roadmap as to when the economy goes through another down cycle. So we have to be prepared for that too. So, yeah, and thanks for doing what you do in providing a transparent, account for everybody to see. And
yes, and it just folds right into the county budget as well, because they also project fund balances. They also project the expenditures as well. So it fits right in nicely. And this is nothing other than what's in your narrative as well.
I have another question. When it comes to other fire districts, what kind of fund balances are they projecting? Are we totally on the same level given the size of our city, or are we different?
I couldn't tell you right now. Right now, I'd have to look to see what other fire districts have.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Are we spending too little? Are we spending too more? Are we not planning enough? It'd be a good comparison to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do know that they've been working on that 10-year forecast for actually probably at least a year or so. I know it's been, they've been monitoring that. They know it's, and when you look at both the reserves you want to carry going at all times, and then
I totally get it, but 46.7 million does not need, you don't need to have
the key
such a
thing
high
most
reserve.
people don't see, I think it's going to, that the 10-year report will show is that if we are really going to operate a second facility for all the housing that's going to appear on the north end of town, and having to upgrade the now how old fire station we have.
I totally agree.
Goes
The
in
money
quick,
is
but-
meant
but
to be spent and we should spend
It would be a
it.
great
Yeah.
report, I think, just to see that. But, any other comments here? Let's go ahead and finish up. We'll take public comments when you're finished with this as well.
And then I will get to the next page, which is I'm sorry, there was an action item, this one here. This is the rate schedule that you have in your staff report. I did make a correction. I noticed a correction that I needed to read into the record. So the chart that you have in your packet has been modified as indicated by the red indications there. So we made those changes. There was a change to the operations project manager FTE level this last meeting in April. It went from 0.508 to 0.6. So now this reflects the roster that we are providing to the county. FTEs have not changed. It's 13.50, but now this reflects the FTEs by each position. We have increments here because we have several employees that work more than the 0.50 hours. The way we define FTEs, we take the number of hours that's in their contract, divided by 2,080, and in some cases you come up with just a fraction above. So that's what indicates the difference here. So if I'll turn to the attorney that's here. I would like to read this into the record as the change to be acted on this evening.
Okay, so when we make the motion, we'll mention modified as shown in the meeting. And again, because this is part of the narrative, we have to do a roll call vote to explain it. But before we do that, any questions on this? Yeah, please.
I don't understand this last line with the asterisks. If you could explain that to me, 476 vacant, what are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about the operations admin manager position, and it's a 1.00 position. It's currently filled at 0.50, and if you take the difference between the 0.50 and the 0.976, that's the increment that's left. So it's indicating that position is only 0.5 filled at this point in time.
And what is 476
it's actually
vacant?
0.476. It's hard to see the
Oh, is it?
decimal point.
Okay, I get it. I was like,
Yes.
yeah, in 476 people. Okay.
Yes, I apologize. It's a little
Okay.
bit, it's a little bit messy with the red marks, but
I see it.
the
Okay.
red marks indicate the replacement
Okay,
factors.
I get it.
Which brings me to a question, based
Please.
on the
Please.
containment, the cost containment that we were talking about earlier in the earlier slides, the county
the
and
county,
everything
yeah.
else, and the vacancy, cutting the vacancy and all those other details for cost cutting. How much have they, allocated for replacing humans with AI now? I know this is not relevant, but is that also on board for the cost containment?
Well, at the county level, if you read the county executive document, they took some pretty stringent cost saving factors, not the least of which was they have about 600 vacant positions, which they basically froze, at this point to have. So you consider 600 FTEs freezing at that level. And they also took other items in hand as well. But yes, they took very significant measures, but at the same time, they came to the county with a balanced budget, which I applaud them for. So they basically brought a balanced budget to their board. They made some tough decisions. Nonetheless, I would say that's one of the main reasons for the savings.
Mhm. Okay, before we do this, let's go ahead and take public comments on any public comments? Any online?
No, I see nothing online.
All right, in that case, I would entertain a motion to approve the position control and salary schedule as shown in our packet and as modified in our meeting here in person with those two modifications as a supplement to the fiscal year 26-27 final draft budget narrative. Will the commissioner making the motion and one seconding please state your names?
Passage moves that we approve the budget as specified by President Brisbane's description of the item.
Kanambi seconds.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? Is that okay in terms of a statement of modification?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, let's have a roll call.
Okay. President Spreen,
Yes.
Vice President McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Basiji,
Yes.
Commissioner Kadambi,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonka,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 6-0 with one absent.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 10, which is to approve the 7th Amendment to Professional Services Agreement with Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council.
Okay. I'm just waiting for the next slide to come up.
Hang on, everybody.
Okay,
Wait for
well,
the slide.
I'll start talking about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
This item really has to do with the Fire Safe Council budget for fiscal year 25-26. And what it's doing is it's asking for an adjustment for the current year. We know next month that you'll see a renewal of the contract for Fire Safe Council. And that's forthcoming. So this doesn't purport to indicate what the new number will be for 26-27, but we noticed a need for very positive reasons. We noticed a need to increase their current year not to exceed in their contract by $165,400, basically bringing it from about $2.2 million to $2,375,000, and to update their revised budget on Exhibit I. And if we go to the next slide, we'll indicate what the reason is for that. And by the way, we've coordinated with County Council on this. They were completely helpful for us in this amendment creation. And at the same time, we've coordinated with Seth over at Fire Safe Council as well, and he's agreed to the budget adjustment as well. The reasons are very positive, and it has everything to do with what we talked about in the budget and what we talked about in terms of other items, specifically I-280. We're seeing HIZ activity increase significantly, more above and beyond what we anticipated when the contract was first created last year. And at the same time, the introduction of Page Mill as an adjunct I-280 satellite evacuation route, we added an evacuation route to the mix for Fire Safe Council as well. Those two items alone essentially make up the bulk of the difference between the original contract and what's we're adjusting for. So this brings them in line with the new and increased activity for HIZ and the evacuation satellite program for I-280, which in this case was Page Mill. So in essence, those two numbers make up our delta. We noticed some savings here in terms of the flashing fuel pilot project. They had $100,000 scheduled. I coordinated with Service Area Manager Eugenia Woods, and she indicated we're done for fiscal year 25-26 with that program at a cost of about $50,000. So that in essence represents the change in budget for Fire Safe Council that we're proposing for your approval this evening. And this will get us through June 30th of 2026. Next slide. And with that, I think I already explained this. I don't need to go through it. The real two reasons are the evacuation routes and HIZ. And if you looked at the evacuation route line item within the budget, you'll see it's going from $541,000 to $662,700. And it just coincidentally works out that an evacuation route averages somewhere between $80,000 and $130,000. So that explains the delta. And I think that's it with the next slide. Yes, and this is the recommendation.
Any comments? No? See, okay. Public comments? I see we're going to have one.
Oh, geez.
No problem. First, let me say I appreciate the fact that you're changing the way you're doing your budgeting from this cumulative approach to an annual approach. I've suggested that you do that for many, many years, and I'm pleased to see that you've adopted that standard. Looking at where the budget is at this point in time, there's about $700,000 left in the budget between what's been spent through April 30 and the number that was put in the budget for them. So it's not clear to me why this additional funding is necessary. I should also point out that the budget shows that ignition zone, evacuation route vegetation management had a budget of 818,000. Year to date, we've spent 540,000. Some of the other numbers are even lower. The home ignition zone is only at 53% of the budget. So I appreciate that one number is going up, but it looks to me like many of the other numbers are going down. So it's unclear to me why additional monies are necessary. Also, looking at the specific budget, the couple line items you mentioned aren't the only areas where they're adding additional expense. For instance, the line item for revision shows $55,000 in labor expense. Only two of the items relate to the area that you're talking about. So I guess my gut is that they're not going to exceed the budget that they have, and the savings in programs that haven't been completed relative to the ones that are, have been completed should make sufficient funds available. But that's just my interpretation.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to answer that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you for bringing up the point that the amendment now, and many thanks to our coordination with, again, council, that it does not show the cumulative NTE. And we came to the conclusion that in this case, in the case of Fire Safe Council, our only financial obligation has to do with a one-year term. So that it now reflects the one-year term, which is appropriate in terms of indicating any obligation or any liability. So thank you for pointing that out. I should have mentioned that as well. It's just it's a subtle but important change in the amendment wording. Yes, you're correct. The budget indicates more dollars on salaries. That is because Fire Safe Council, they expend salaries under the salary line item, but it's due to the activity in the operations. So as the operations go up, the salaries go up as well. And both of those operation expenditure increases has to do with the fact that evacuation routes increased and HIZ increased. And so they're putting more time above the line on salaries. They don't go through the process of reallocating salaries to the operations. They keep them all on one level line. So that's the reason for that. In terms of the budget, comparing the adopted budget to the contract budget, they're two different animals. Yes, you're correct. The numbers in the adopted budget show a certain trend, but what we are trying to project is the contract NTE and where we will land in terms of the contract NTE. And we think we're so close. We think we need this $160,000 to make sure we don't exceed by June 30th.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, important distinction there between the budgeting versus NTE adjustment, which is what this is, so that we can pay them out of the budget money we have budgeted. So I guess we'll ask for a motion.
We have another comment online from Seth Shout.
Okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Apologize for some reason my video is uncooperative, but I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank both Eugenia and Russ for proactively working with us to optimize and make sure that we land the budget as efficiently and as closely as possible. And I know that we're going to start some negotiations in the coming weeks for what the next fiscal year might look like. And so I just appreciate that opportunity, and I'm glad to answer any questions that the commission has.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's go. Do we have a motion in a second? I guess it's time for a motion in a second. Who would like to? Oh, actually, we would do because Jim. I'm sorry, this is the different one. I'm sorry, this is the NTE adjustment. So we need a motion in a second. I'm sorry.
Warren moves to adopt the Seventh Amendment to our professional services agreement with Fire Safe Council.
Kadambi seconds.
Very good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a roll call.
All right, President Spreen?
Yes.
Vice President McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Bastigi?
Yes.
Commissioner Kadambi? Commissioner Tonka?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
And the motion passes 6-0 with one absent.
Thank you very much. And I'll take this opportunity. I want to thank Russ and his team for the last item as well, to say that it makes this job such a pleasure when our finances are in such great hands and every report you bring is so smooth and so coherent, so well understood. And I think that and our collaboration with the OBA is much because of your mannerisms and the way you work with them has really made it work for everybody. So thank you very much for all that. And moving on now, let's see, we are on to item number 11, which is the commission member reports. Item 11A is an opportunity for us commissioners to provide reports or suggestions for any future agenda topics. Any comments from commissioners on that? Not expecting any, but just to make sure. Any public comment on that for future things? Let's see, moving on to 11B, we have the next regular commission meeting is scheduled for June 23rd, 2026, in person and hybrid at the town hall, this very town hall council chambers. Please take special note. This meeting was scheduled to take place on the fourth Tuesday of the month in June, as opposed to our normal one, to accommodate the county's budget hearings and the Board of Supervisors' adoption of the fiscal year 27 budget, which happens in that same week. So don't let your automatic calendar entry
I will not be
confuse
here.
you. Okay. Okay, so we have 2 people not here. We will find someone else to take your chairs.
Very good.
Let's see. Any comments from the commission? We've got those. And any public comments on that schedule? Not expecting any, but seeing none. In that case, we will move to item 12, everyone's favorite item, adjournment. This concludes the May 19th, 2026 regular meeting of Los Altos Hills County Fire District. This meeting is adjourned at 8:33 p.m. District Clerk Vargas, please stop the recording.